老师们好，我们在等待其他老师登录的同时，也想提醒老师们选择静音。为了保证今晚有最佳的音质画质效果，也请您关掉摄像头，感谢您的合作。欢迎各位老师参与由引领中文教学的全美中小学中文教师协会举办的 CLASS FRONTLINE 热点谈节目。我们诚邀坚守一线教学的老师们，畅所欲言，交流心得，探讨教学热点。CLASS 与您守望相助，同行同行，走在教学的前沿。今天呢，热点谈的主题是国家级教师资格认证。这个话题不仅是我们很多中文老师关心的，也是我们全美中小学中文教师协会 CLASS 多年来倡导推动，并为之坚持努力，争取国家级教师资格认证委员会在世界语教师资格认证中增加中文以及更多的世界语。今天呢，我们有幸请到了老师来为我们分享他们成为国家级教师的心路历程。下面我们要请出我的好搭档，来自芝加哥的 Sarah 赵哲璇老师，从幕后走到幕前，来为我们隆重介绍今晚的3位嘉宾。
老师们好，我终于跑到前面来了。OK，Hello everyone. So 我转一下到英文，如果讲得不清楚，还是抱歉，我不像李娜一样就是专业的广播员似的。但是呢 ，Before we start our talk tonight, let's please welcome Mr. 宝才甲, our class executive director.
谢谢赵老师，谢谢李老师。Thank you to our both hosts. Yeah, I'm 宝才甲. I'm very happy today. With the collaboration with ACT4, the effort to provide more information. We have 3 great teachers who are national board certified. We know in the field there are a lot of teachers who are interested in finding out information, especially languages like Chinese and Japanese and several other languages that are not having this national board certification. And many teachers are thinking about, how do I apply? What is the process? If Chinese is not one of the languages yet, what should we do? This kind of stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming. We once again welcome the 3 speakers, and I'm glad teachers are coming to listen to this great resourceful presentations. Yeah, thank you.
谢谢贾老师。Now let's welcome Mr. Howie Berman, Executive Director of ACT4, for a few words.
Hi, everyone. My name is Howie Berman. I'm Executive Director of ACT4. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank the folks at CLASS for inviting me, and also for really making this a collaborative environment and an opportunity for everyone to join together. You know, this issue of national board certification is not just a Chinese teacher issue. It goes across languages, and frankly, it even affects Spanish and French teachers who currently are eligible for national board certification, but not at all levels. Our elementary school teachers, it's not afforded to all levels of Spanish and French. You know, ACT4 has a strategic plan where 2 of those pillars are equity, diversity and inclusion, and teacher recruitment and retention. And we see this as both an existential issue in terms of teacher recruitment and retention, but also we see it as an equity issue, right? And we know that for us to be able to properly recruit teachers across the board, this program, we really, really want it to be available across the board to all teachers. So it's great to see the collaboration. We're hoping that this will transform the conversation so that we can create something even bigger and create some momentum to convince the folks at National Board that this should be a program that's opened up to all educators. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Howie. And once again, this is the reason why Li Na 老师 is the golden microphone, the MC for CLASS, because apparently without notes, I can't read the title correctly.
All right. You're fine. No worries. No worries.
Okay. All right. So let's begin. It is really, truly our honor and pleasure to be in presence of not only 3 national board certified teachers tonight, but 3 toys, teachers of the year. And then, we have Jing Lao Shi here as well with us. So tonight they're going to share with us their path to national board certification. So please allow me to introduce our 3 guests. Our first guest tonight is Ms. Clarissa Adams Fletcher. She is an educator of 30 years teaching Spanish and serving as World Language Department Chair at Dunwoody High School in Atlanta, Georgia. She is nationally board certified and has taught Spanish levels 1 through 8 and currently AP Spanish. She has served and trained as AP Spanish Language and Culture table leader, reader, and one of the AP daily instructors for the College Board. Clarissa is currently a member of the Test Development Committee for the AP Spanish Language and Culture exam. She has conducted many state, regional, and national workshops and webinars independently for school districts throughout the nation. She was the ACFO Teacher of the Year in 2011 and served on the SCOLT board as the SCOLT Talk editor. Clarissa embraces the opportunities to share ideas with fellow educators, especially young and upcoming ones, to embrace their passion yet keep realistic goals. She has a BA and an MA in Latin American Studies from Vanderbilt University, which she credits her focus on culture as well as language studies. So dear Clarissa, if you could say a few words of greetings to our audience tonight.
Well, I am very excited to be here this evening and very honored to be a part of this panel. And I look forward to sharing information with you all, and I look forward to working with you soon on this really, really important project.
Wonderful. Our second guest is Yan Xun Lao Shi. Yan has been a high school Chinese and ESL teacher in Columbus City Schools in Ohio since 2003. She also taught Chinese, educational psychology, and English as a second language at Cornell, UC Davis, Oklahoma, and Ohio State University for 15 years before acquiring her K-12 teaching license. She has earned BA in Chinese language and literature, MA in educational psychology, and MED in second language acquisition. Being inspired to find the best ways to serve all her students, she pursued NDCT in teaching English as a new language in 2010. So dear Yan, if you would mind saying a few words to welcome our teachers tonight.
Thank you so much, Lao Shimen. It's an honor for me to be here. And I would love to see more and more Chinese teachers to pursue this rigorous process to be the most outstanding professionals in the teaching field. I know you are. You just have to go through this path to do it. And I'm here to support you. If I could do it, you can do it.
And our third guest tonight is Ms. Toni Tyson. And let me catch a deep breath because this list is very long, her achievements, right? So she's the 2013 ACFO president and the 2009 ACFO Teacher of the Year. She has taught French at Loveland High School in Loveland, Colorado for over 40 years. She's currently the Thompson School District World Language Curriculum Representative and TOSA for the Dual Language Immersion Programs. Toni is a national board certified teacher with an MA in foreign language teaching and an MA in education of diverse learners. Toni, as we all know, she's very active in the world language profession and a strong leader in our field. She has been to our class program many times. This is not her first time here. She has also participated on numerous regional and national committees on the revision of world languages teacher standards for licensure. She served on the committee for National Board for Professional Teaching Standards and was the co-chair for the revision committee for MBPTS teacher standards for WLOE. As an ACFO executive board member, Toni has served as the program chair for 2 ACFO conferences and local conferences. Toni has received many honors, including the ACFO Nelson Brooks Award for the teaching of culture, the ACFO Florence Steiner National Award for leadership in foreign language education, K-12, and the list goes on and on. Really, this is incredible. Toni, I'm so honored to have you here with us tonight. You're an inspiration to all of us. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a few words to our audience tonight.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be with such wonderful people on this panel and all of you who are accomplished teachers. National Board is my passion. I want to make sure more of you can get down that path. Let's go.
So thank you, Clarissa, Yan, and Toni for being with us. This is truly a heavyweight, or what we call in Chinese, 重量级, the lineup for tonight. So I hope We're all, having our notes ready, and are you excited? I am. So tonight, this is our rundown for today. We're going to discuss the why, the what, the how, and the why for working towards National Board certification. We will have a Q&A portion at the end, but if you really have a question, go ahead and enter in the chat box. Lina, Lao Shi, and I, we will help cue the questions and then try to answer it in the Q&A portion. So Toni, let's first start off with the what. Ever since my days as an undergraduate student in education, I was given a career goal to be nationally board certified. But my question has always been, what does it mean to be nationally board certified? And what is national board certification?
Okay, we'll take it from there a little bit. They talk about national board certification as working with the accomplished teacher. But it's a voluntary advanced teaching credential that goes beyond state licensure. But once you get national board certification, it doesn't mean you can just have a license everywhere. It really means that you have this incredible ability where you've really taken the next step to demonstrate what accomplished teaching is. So it certifies teachers who are completely successfully complete the rigorous certification process. And when you talk a little bit about national board certification, it is a challenge, but it's a personal growth challenge. And I think everyone that first started off when we did this back in, our first licensure was 2002. And being on that committee, we had a chance to see all this wonderful things happening in the conversations. And I was actually part of the first group that got the national board certification. We said, if we're going to go through this, somebody has to do it. And meaning that not in a negative way, but in a very positive way. We all learned the things that we wrote, how we moved on. And I think if you take a look at this, we're going to kind of look at some of the components of this and the reason why. It's all based on excellent teaching. Mm-hmm. And you may say, well, what is excellent teaching? Examine and reflect what you are doing, because it is there. So let's go on to the next slide and see some of these things. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So there are some qualifications. To start off, to have a bachelor's degree, at least 3 years of classroom experience, and a valid state license. Okay, and you have to have a valid state license in the language you're teaching. It's really what you are as you are advancing. So that's the basics. So if we kind of go on to the next one. One of the things you learn as we follow national board certification, whether you're in a cohort, you are reading some of the information that they put into the booklets to do it, is they constantly put this question in front of you. How is what you do and what you are including in your portfolios, how does it impact student learning? So the first thing that you really have to think about when you go back to school on Monday, think about how is what I'm doing impacting student learning? And that's such a broad piece to look at. And we have really shifted in the last year and a half, but it makes you examine, is this relevant? Is this worthwhile? Is this really going to advance what we want to move the students along on the proficiency continuum, on the love of culture, on the idea of being a strong language student, etc. And it comes from all of us being really reflective on that. Keep that in mind. How does it impact student learning? That question was always just pasted on the wall every time that I began working on the different components. So let's see what the standards are, because there are standards. First of all, there are 5 core propositions of accomplished teaching. This is in every content area. Anything that you are working with, any portfolio you are doing, you'll always have to wrap it around these 5 core propositions. But take a look at them and say, I come to students and they're learning, and how can I demonstrate that? And then, do you know what you're teaching? And do you know how to teach it? And then we've got to be able to manage and monitor student learning. And do you think systematically about your practice and learn from experience? Are you growing from every time you put that question in front of yourself? How does it impact student learning? And then you're members of learning communities. You're all part of CLASS. So many of you are part of CLASS, part of ACTFL, part of maybe your teacher organization. Professional communities help us network and grow. So this is all wrapped around in what is an accomplished teacher and a time for you to reflect. This is part of the essence of it. So on the next slide. So each content area has a set of standards. And of course, ours are wrapped around the world readiness standards. But you, in each one of this, when you have a component, because there's 4 different components, it'll say component 1, and don't quote me on which one is which, I'm just giving an example. You have to show that you're doing standard 1, standard 3, standard 7, you know, and then each one of your components, you have to relate to this. And if you were to read this, because you can go to the National Board site, of which we've cited that in some of the resources, you can actually download this. So download it and read it and look at the examples, okay? And one of the things that is so important is standard number 9. We are absolutely the only group, not the only group that has professionalism in it, because we all need that professionalism, being part of communities, sharing with others, etc. But one aspect that it has is so important is advocacy. And now it's time for you to put your advocacy hat on. This is it. And you would look at this and go, I understand this, I do this. But how can it be manifested when it comes your turn to be able to do this? And I think I have one more slide, and then I'll pass it on, or anybody else can make anything. So you should know there are changes going on in National Board because they're always updating. And now they have just put together a diversity, equity, and inclusion standards committee. And there's a group of members on it to really blend in at all the content areas. How really do we wrap around what we need to know and be able to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion in all the standards, which for us also includes including all of our languages. So you can read a little bit about this. All of this is on the National Board site. But this is, mine was to tell you a little bit about what it is. What does it look like from the world language standpoint? And what does it look like with those 5 propositions? So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to turn it over to the next person.
Yeah, Toni, this is truly wonderful, because what now you show me the detail, it really echoes very much with many districts' evaluation frameworks, right? And then add it with our world readiness standards, and then adding the DEIJ. I think that's great to be able to be more inclusive in our teaching too.
Right.
Clarissa, would you be able to share with us, you know, how would one get nationally board certified? So how is it done?
All right, well, good evening. I think this is a really, really wonderful self-reflective piece. There are 4 components. So one of the first component is obviously a content knowledge. You have to know what you're doing. And so when you're doing this particular section, there's a special addendum for world language teachers, and that shows up via the ACTFL OPI. And so you can use that to hit at an advanced level to include, to show your content knowledge. So it's a computer-based assessment, and you want to make sure that you know the information that you're teaching. And as Toni stated, we are already good teachers. We know what we're teaching. And so now it's just a matter of putting that in place. So that's component 1. And then the other 3 parts are what's called the portfolio. And the focus of the portfolio is on your practice as a teacher and your ability to facilitate student learning. And be careful that it's your job to facilitate student learning. It's not really the focus of student achievement. Obviously, you are raising student achievement if you're successfully facilitating student teaching. So when you choose which classes you would like to reflect, you want to have multiple classes. You want to have classes that meet the age and content requirements. and you want to show a broad range of students and classes if you teach more than one level. So that's the overall part of the portfolio, and there are very specific instructions that you have to follow in that particular section. And each portfolio part includes a written analysis, and there's a description and analysis section. The second component is differentiation in instruction. And if you have been teaching for any time, I know that word is dear to your heart. How do we meet the needs of all of our students? And it doesn't mean that they all get the exact same thing. And so this particular portfolio entry is primarily comprised of samples of student work and accompanied written commentary. So when you're thinking about which items you would like, so as you go, as Toni said, you go back on Monday, think about what kinds of work you're giving and how would that show students' growth over time. And then you have to be able to describe that and talk about this student from point A to point B. The third component is teaching, practice, and learning environment. And I know at our school, in our district, there is one of the, you were talking about the teaching series, one is academically challenging environment. And that's kind of what this is. This is teaching, practice, and learning environment, creating the environment in which students can flourish. And in this particular case, there are video recordings of interactions between the candidate, meaning you, and the students. And so again, there are 2 written commentaries, and the candidate will describe, analyze, and reflect on their teachings and their interactions. And it's really, I think, to become really successful in this and not die in it, is to go ahead and start videotaping your classroom now. I mean, look and see how you interact with your students. You would be amazed at what comes back, and you realize, am I really talking to all of my students? Am I making a point of moving around the classroom? All of those same things that you do as a good teacher anyway. And then you want to make sure that your video demonstrates how you engage your students and how that impacts their learning, because your ability to engage your student is what helps them move to the next level. And then my favorite part, I think I would say, the component 4 is effective and reflect practitioner. Because you are in the midst of teaching, often you don't realize what is happening. Yes, you do manage the environment, you do go through your lesson plans, you go through, but what you think, I have a colleague who used to always say, what is taught is things that are taught and not necessarily always caught. So what you want to do is sit back, look at what you've been doing and how well it is working. And a lot of times, if you pay attention, you'll see that maybe something, if you tweaked it just slightly, you would have had a different effect. Or perhaps there was a student giving you a clue that they weren't quite with you, and maybe this is the point where you get to add that to that part. So that's one part. The second part, effective and reflective, is that you want to make sure that you show your evidence of your collaboration with families and the community, which is, of course, part of what we do, is to bring everyone into the focus. So it's obviously you have student success without family and community buy-in. And the contributions to those communities are what will advance student growth. So that's kind of what you need for that particular part as a new candidate. Once you have become a national board certified teacher, then you want to maintain your certificate. And your certificate is good for a period of 10 years, and then you will begin the renewal process. And the renewal process is the maintenance of the certificate, and it really consists of 2 components. And if you want to go to the next slide for me, you'll see that the component 1 has 8 pages of written commentary and 4 pages of samples of products. So it's not as intense as the first, the initial feel, because at this point, you know, you are already observing and doing that secondhand without realizing it. So you want to focus on this one, or 2 relevant professional growth experiences. So as a nationally board certified teacher, the expectation is that you will make a bigger mark in the field. And so these are activities that are related to your original certificate area. And then from that point, it became a springboard, or it becomes a springboard to have direct or indirect positive impact on student learning. And so component 1, you'll see that you identify 2 professional growth experiences, and there is a limit on how much you can write, and you collect evidence that supports your written commentary and demonstrates the positive impact on student learning. And it gives you a chance to reflect, because as you do the first, the initial certification, it gives you time to think, how have I grown? How have I impacted the classroom, the students, and my community? And then the second component, you're going to videotape again, one of the PGEs, or one of the professional growth experiences in your content area, and you're going to talk about how that makes a difference, what it is you're going to do. They are activities in which you learn something new, and that they have an influence within or beyond the classroom. So it is interesting that, well, we'll talk about our own journeys afterwards, but I'll say this: as I got initial certification, there were things that came from that I was not aware that I was doing automatically. And I think that it makes it a really powerful statement as a national board certified teacher, because you're able to make changes in multitudes of ways.
So it's truly, it sounds like this process is really documenting your growth, and the reflective pieces. It seems like it's just samples of me being a reflective teacher, and how can I always make my teaching better and connect and outreach. I think this is great. My question is if a teacher is tenured and has been recognized as a master leader teacher, why would one want to pursue this path to be national board certified? And maybe we can get to this from all 3 of our guests today, but I want to bring on our next guest, Yan. What would be some benefits of being national board certified? Or, after Clarissa giving us this map, how long, what is the time frame and the cost for it as a teacher? Hello?
You want me to speak, or you want Clarissa to talk?
No, Yan, I think if you can, yeah.
Okay. When I did it, was like the time frame was 3 years. You have to get everything done within 1 year, and then you can go back to redo part of it. But now it's changed. It's so much easier. It's 5 years now. And when we did it, we have to do all the 4 components in 1 year. And then now you can do one. Within the first 3 years, you just need to do every component once, but you can do one at a time. So nowadays it's so much easier, and you can just focus on one and do the next. So to me, I think when I look at the process nowadays, it's a lot easier. So basically, you start by registering, which requires a $75 deposit. And once you start to get into it, you committed, you registered, and then you will start. In my state, we also have a cohort. Like, we would take a class from the Ohio State University, and we would form a group of people, and we work together. You are not just by yourself. Like, we have a group of people, like, we remind each other the dates, the components, we help each other read, reflect. And so, and then, you can start to, when we did it, we went on like a component 1, component 2, component 3, we worked together. But then nowadays you can pick whichever, now with the internet, I think it's going to be so much easier. You could literally work with anyone, anywhere in the United States or in the world to, do your group work together. So, but I want to say the first part is the content knowledge. To me, that was the most challenging one, because that was a test-centered and it's timed. I remember it was 30 minutes with 6 prompts. And as a Chinese native speaker, I had to do it twice because the first time I couldn't type fast enough. And the time frame, you know, I have to think about the idea. I have to have the theory. I have to have the English writing. So I literally spent a year just practice typing. And I just get my computer set up. I had prompts posted around it. And I would do like a 15 minutes interval, type one prompt, type another. I follow the guideline. There's a scoring guide, very specific. In addition to the systems, there's very specific scoring guide. So I went looking at the scoring guide, what they were looking for. And then I tried to see if I addressed everything they asked for me. So like the portfolio, the three portfolio in classroom one, I did in my first year and I passed it. The test center was the one I had to do it twice. But now you have 5 years. Literally, you can do your, you know, like component 1 and component 2, component 3. I don't know if this is what how this answered your question, you know, but this is a really good like roadmap for you to look at it. And I think, like I said, for me, it was this writing part, because my undergraduate major was Chinese. And so writing in English was a challenge at the time. But throughout the process, I had tremendously improved my ability to write under the time pressure with all the requirement.
It seems with all the reflections that we have to write going through this process, that, you know, writing is definitely a big part to this. And so could I ask for, is it 3 years or is it 5 years, or has this been changed, or is between 3 to 5 years, depending on how quickly we want to attain this certification? Is that how it is?
I looked at the National Board website today because it changed. And nowadays it says it's 5-year window, but you could get it done within 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, when I did it was a 3-year window, but everything has to be done the first year. But I was so grateful we got a 3-year window. So I got a whole year practice typing. And then I went back to take the test center. And then you also can do like whatever part you think you can improve the most, you take that part. So it's like a total score. Clarissa and Toni, you correct me if I was correct. You know, like your total score has to be, let's say 164. So if I already have 130 and I just need like 34 points from somewhere, so I can pick and choose which area I think I can improve the most. And then I can really focus on that part, and then I go just redo this part. But back then was 3 years. Now, I don't really know when they changed it, but now it's a 5-year window. But if you have the ability to do it within 1 year, go for it. I mean, so, I don't think
I think 1 year, well, we don't know. There are always people that can do this, but could I just ask the Toni and Clarissa and Yan, is there any type of accommodations for applicants or candidates whose native language is not English, or no, everything's done in English?
English. I called at the time. I called the NBCTs. I said, I'm a non-native speaker, and I know as an ESL teacher, it takes longer for a non-native speaker to process the ideas, to express it in the second language. Could I have a little bit extra time? The answer was, if you're accomplished, you're accomplished.
Okay.
If not, you're not. So I just went home to type.
Is there an
hard way? But I don't regret it.
Well, you got it. So, you know, kudos.
I think the accommodation now is that you can do it over a period of 5 years instead of 1 year. And I think that that's part of the accomplishment, that are part of the, you know, that what they do to accommodate people. And also, I think that I've also been on the assessment committee when an assessment rater, and reading some of the things when we were told to read. Can you read? it's not about the English and the grammar. It's about, do you have your message across?
Mhm.
And in the same way when we were looking at the videos, etc. So that was very helpful, because some people are just better writers than others, even if their native language is English. So it's about, how do we get this? Is it in the right type of format? Because they ask you to write descriptive and analysis, and you have to make sure that you're doing those types of writing too. So
Clear, consist, and convincing, and concise. All those C's.
thank you. Yeah.
So what is it again? Clear,
Clear, concise, convincing, and what's the other C?
Those
Clear,
were
concise, and convincing.
convincing.
Yeah.
convincing. So 3
Yeah.
C's. Clear,
I know
concise,
it's
and
because
convincing.
there's time and there's a word limitation. So you really have to pick and choose the word you use. But I remember Toni or Clarissa said it's a reflective process. You don't have to be perfect. And you can make mistakes as long as you can reflect on why you made a mistake. How would you, how do you call change? Make, it's a learning process. How can you be a better teacher? Nobody comes to in a classroom be perfect. And so to me, this is a process. It's a self-imposed professional development process. And to me, it was the best process because the reflective part.
And that's what everyone says. This is one of the best professional developments they do, because it's very personal. I know one of my entries that I was just horrible, but it was a video, and I had done it. This was like 2002, and really, it was hard to do videos then, but because we really just didn't have, we couldn't pick up the phone and do this. There was, I arranged for a person to come in. It was just pitiful. But what I decided to do was to say, well, here's what I would do the next time. Because the question is, what went well and what would you change? Because almost everything you do, you will change. You will to accommodate the learner, will change the situation. And actually that turned out to be one of my highest rated entry forms, because I really did break it down a whole lot. And I think that, what Yen was saying, it's not about perfection, it's about growth.
So if we have the time frame, the first entry in 3 years and then 5 years to complete, what is the estimated cost? Is there an estimated cost to this?
$1,900.
Okay. $1,900. Okay.
It's $475 per entry.
Okay.
So you can pay as you go, or you can just pay at once. However, a lot of places you can apply for scholarships, and like my state has some support, financial support. My district pays for everything. So if you are considering it, first thing to do is to look for your district and then look for your state. A lot of places, they are really encouraging people to go through the National Board certification. So not only they pay you, they give you, I got some professional days to go do my work, and like the packing day. We used to have a packing day. We got a day off, and I even got a teacher, a National Board certified teacher, volunteered to come help. Yeah, I mean, another thing later, if I can talk about it, it's how do you call it? This is throughout the process, I met so many people that I became friends forever. And they inspired me and they supported me. And that's why nowadays I try my best to mentor the new teachers or, student teachers, because other people nurtured me. And now I would like to pay back. So if any of the teachers, from today's seminar, if you want to, in the future, if you need my help, I will always be here.
I think all of us would say exactly the same, and I agree with you, Toni. And I think part of it is like different states have different things, but now with online, there are a lot of online cohorts that are really helpful. I know when I did a renewal of my certificate in 2011, I was part of a cohort of world language teachers online. And that was really, because we took time reading each other's entries and giving feedback, et cetera, which is so important. So
we used to get together at somebody's house with a dinner of course, with a glass of wine, and we started working. It was fun. It was fun.
So it's joining the national board family, really. It seems,
Yes.
just interacting with the three of you for our meetings, it really seems it's a special bond that's I can feel it. So I wish that more of our teachers can join your family as well.
And it's a support among us, and also I would use the word like the drive. Almost everyone I have worked with has this driven spirit, and we want to serve the students better, and we want to advance ourselves, and we want to be the best in our professional fields. So that kind of camaraderie, it's hard to get by. So I truly enjoy it.
Yeah, so Yan, you shared about, the camaraderie, the family. Toni, Clarissa, is there anything that you want to add about added benefits? Because Howie just posted in the chat box that many states count national board certification towards state licensure or renewal. So some offer salary incentives. I know in Illinois, some school districts do that. And for teachers with MBCT or to pursue national board certification. Aside from the monetary incentive, anything else, or is it true? I've heard teachers say, if you're nationally board certified, you can teach in any state. Are these?
That's not like that.
It doesn't work like that.
So that's what do they call that? They call that urban legend, right? Urban myth.
Yeah.
It's a myth.
Clarissa, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, no, that does work. But I did want to add that there, as you were mentioning about the groups, there are groups that share the information. So from state to state, there are incentives. And I would say, unfortunately, in my state, as a state, we don't offer the incentive, but different districts do. So I think, and they did away with that before I renewed, but I still renewed because it was so powerful what I was able to walk away with. And I wanted to see how I had grown from the initial certification. And I got certified in 2004 to 2014 when I renewed. And like I said, there was no monetary incentive, but as John said, it's the drive. It's the fact that you can become a better teacher and help your colleagues become better people, and which makes a better department, which then of course grows your program, et cetera, et cetera. So
yes. Sorry.
No.
I do in our state, we still get $500 from our state, and we get $500 for our district. And one of the things I did for our district because I was actually the first board certified teacher ever in our district, they didn't really know about it. So I went out and worked with the union to get this $500 stipend. So that's kind of in that spot. And so it's still there. And I think that sometimes you have to be an advocate for those pieces too, because the monetary piece is there. And some of the other benefits, when you now do say that you're a national board certified teacher, it kind of elevates you a little bit. So you can get into situations, in different leadership positions. I've been working with the state. Okay. Some of the leadership positions I've had in regional and national areas, and then also my own district and in my own state, I tried to get together a dual language program. And when we were going through those different process, they would keep referring back to, but she's a nationally board certified teacher. We should listen to her. And so you're going to take that and run. It's kind of like putting your national board teaching certificate sash on and run through it and go to the board and talk to parents, and you got to use them. And then, and the other part of it is when I renew my teaching license, I no longer get the 5-year, I get a 7-year, a master's teaching license.
Oh.
My teacher's license lasts for 7 years. That's in Colorado. Can't talk about other states. I don't know what those processes are.
Okay.
I have a little bit to add on here. Even though I didn't go, do what Toni and Clarissa did in the state, but for instance, when one year I went to California for this National Chinese Language Teachers meeting, and when I was there, we visited a high school. As soon as the high school principal learned I was a national board certified ESL teacher and a Chinese teacher, he started to recruit me. And I was offered $15,000 additional to the whatever the money they were giving to the teacher at the time. I mean, I couldn't leave because my family is in Ohio. Otherwise, I would be in San Francisco nowadays. And another thing is, this is a true story, huh? All this 1 year, I was working with my high school ESL students. I worked so hard. I graduated, so many of them. And then we had 2 positions, and then we didn't have enough students because we graduated them. They graduated from the ESL program. And then they had to cut a position. And then I had a less seniority. So they were going to cut my position. And at the time, the superintendent learned about that. And they were just starting a new Chinese program. So she said, oh, she has Chinese certification. We should have her over. So immediately, I got the opportunity to go start this new program teaching Chinese because I was teaching ESL. I was National Board certified in ESL. But, you know, otherwise I would not be here today because I would still be in ESL. That's another, how to worked myself out of my job, but my reputation gave me another opportunity to start a new venture. And I really enjoy teaching Chinese, and I've been doing that since 2010. And I continue teaching ESL too, but just one small class. But at the same time, for instance, during last year, during the people were
hybrid learning,
China hate time. A lot of people complained, and I was just like really livid. So I wrote an email to the superintendent. I sent an email in the morning, and by the afternoon, the superintendent wrote a letter to the whole district. And they took their stand. They supported Asian Pacific AAPI teachers, and the district started to do videos. It's just like a thing. It had something to do with my MBCD title in it. People complain, and then it just nobody really paid attention. So I started to write letters. I think those kind of things really, like Toni said, when people realized you are a highly accomplished teacher, they listen to you, they respect you. So those are the things. I mean, since we are here, maybe should I continue talking, Sarah?
Well, I was going to just, we're going to have a few moments of questions. And I think what you will share aligns with some of the questions that we have here. But I just want to move on and just say, I do feel that there is, even being on so many interview committees, there is a special checkbox to ask whether you're nationally board certified. So having that title is where it definitely puts you in a different category of the best of the best, the creme de la creme of teachers.
And the research shows national board certified teacher can really improve student learning. Like I put on the PowerPoint, and student could get additional 1 to 2 months instruction and a positive impact with a national board certified teacher.
And even learning from peers, in the department, if I were to have someone, that would be a person that I would go to for advice, because I know this person has gone through a lengthy process of self-evaluation and reflection. So it would make me as a person that wants to go and learn from that individual. So I really think this is so inspirational, and this really just remind me again that we are all lifelong learners, right? Otherwise, why are we here on a Saturday night, really? Right. So I'm sure many of our viewers tonight are asking these questions. So what's next? And I see in the text box, how can I get started? And is it even available for me? So as of right now, like what we said from the beginning, so National Board Certification in World Languages is only available in Spanish and French, and only for middle to high school grades. So our organization, CLASS, in collaboration with ACFL and other world language teaching organizations, we're collecting data from our field for teachers who are interested in initiating the nationally board certification process. So this is an advocacy project to move this idea of all languages having access to national board certification. We got to move it forward. So wouldn't it be wonderful to have this bamboo wall lifted so anyone who is qualified can get certified regardless of the world language? So we truly need to step up for equity. So Lina 老师, if you can go 2 slides down, I'm going to go to the resources later. So if you could just, let me see, in the chat box, right? If you can, I will give you the link, or you can scan the QR code. We truly need you to fill out this form if you're interested, or even if you're just thinking about it, right? Let us know who you are. Let us know, because data speaks loud volume, right? We need numbers. We need to be able to have something and give to national board and say, here, we have teachers of all these languages who are interested, or we have teachers of elementary school who are interested, right? If my evaluator, my department chair is not a Chinese language teacher, yet she observes me and gives me evaluation every year. So why should this be any different when the entire country is run this way? When you agree, Toni and Clarissa and Yan, right? So if you could all fill this out within the next 2 weeks and possibly send it to any teachers who you know who may be interested in learning more about national board certification. I think this will be great. We're going to keep
in
this
all
on
languages. Yeah, in all
Yes,
languages.
regardless of language, because we were hoping to open the door, not just for Chinese teachers, but really all world language teachers. We have so many languages and so many qualified teachers, and why should there be a barrier? You know, we see this prestige, we see this, and we cannot get it. That's an equity issue here. If Lina 老师, if you don't mind, can you go 2 slides back?
Yes,
Yes.
no problem.
And then when you're
Okay.
done, Sarah, may I say a few things then?
Yes. So then our teachers today, they put together some resources for you. So Lina 老师 wants the next slide. And please jump in if there's anything that I have missing here. So I will put these links to our YouTube channel when we have this video on our class YouTube channel, and this will be in the description box. I can actually give the links right here as well. So Toni or Yan, do you want to talk a little bit about these websites? I think this will be helpful.
Toni,
Well,
go ahead.
Okay, the National Board official website has just about anything that you need to have. They've really expanded over the years, the data, the information, how to do it. There is a candidate center. So if you really want to take a look at it more in detail of what we talked about, in the candidate center, you'll see the overview and the guide to national board certification and policy and advocacy. You can look at all those things and what is happening. And also I think it's good for you to take a look at some of the other content areas, you know, what is happening, what they're doing with their data, and even what some of their standards are. And I think National Board is in the process of moving towards updating all the standards for each one of those content areas. So that the first step is to put this diversity committee together. And then on the YouTube channel is, if you want to see, sometimes on the YouTube channel, teachers load up some of their videos and people discuss it. Sometimes there's a chance that there's a meeting that you can listen into, or someone is talking about how do you do entry 4. It is just a loaded place to really look and examine and get an idea of what that means. And really what you're going to see is just everyday teachers just doing everyday things. And you're going, wow, and that's to build up your confidence a little bit. I do want to take just a moment to say, down the path, ACWIL has been working with National Board, and several times in some of the positions I have been in, I've had some opportunity. One of the big ones was to be able to do the ACWIL OPI and the WPT as a way to really assess what our speaking and our writing proficiency really wasn't a valid piece at all. So, and there was a big argument a little bit because at that time with ETS, and then Pearson took over, Pearson, which is now SAVAS. They wanted to use their own testing. We said, well, this is the most valid thing we got. That was a major win along those lines. But really what is stopping, from their point of view, all of us in other people in other languages being able to do it, is there are just not the numbers. You know, if you only have 25 people, there's not enough, that's not enough people. First of all, you have to understand the national board is also somewhat of a money-making organization. And also just to gather the data that they need to say how effective it is. 25 is not a big number. What we're trying to say is this is like, we can put them all together. You know, let's just say we're languages instead of breaking them out in different languages. There's been many different ways that we've talked about it. And I think this push that we're all working on, gathering more people saying they're interested, could take it to the next step. I know Howie and a committee have been working very hard on that one.
Okay, thank you. Really, I think I agree totally with what Howie just said. We know what good teaching looks like regardless of the language. So yes. As we close, Lina 老师, can we go to the Q&A session? Before we start this, 老师们, if you have any questions, please put them in here and in the chat box. And then Yan, Clarissa, and Toni, do you have any words of encouragement for our teachers?
Do the survey. Let's get it rolling.
I mean, like I said, I know many of you are working really, really diligent in the classroom. You are wonderful professional. And I have to say, your English is so much better than when I started back then, because I majored in Chinese. So I really think once you slow down and put some effort into it, make a good planning, you can do it. You really can do it. And I think it's a wonderful process to go through, and you will truly enjoy it and be very proud of it.
I was going to add that I think I just got my initial certification materials a few years ago, and that's because the effort, the drive, as you said, that you have when you finish is amazing. And I think that someone wrote in the chat about how you can get started. If you actually take those same components and just start looking at your teaching now, and you can begin the process before the process begins, and then you'll be ready to go as soon as it works, because we're going to win this one. And I think that it's just a matter of good teaching and showing what it looks like across the board. Languages for all. So language teaching for all.
Yes. And those skills can be taken back to your classroom in different languages.
Definitely.
Same skill.
Well, I was going to say my students actually do more reflective writing now, and that's a direct result of me having to do reflection. I realized how much I grew. It helps them to grow, and they are very amazed at how much they grow, because we don't really give them a lot of time to stop and process. And this is a time where they had the opportunity to do that. I know, for example, that's my PGE for when I do my next maintenance of certificate.
And I think in your own evaluations with your principals, you say, well, at the moment, it's not available in Chinese, but I've started to look at it and I've started to build some components and reflection. And I would like to share with you with that in my evaluation. And it really, when you're doing that, it makes the language you teach more robust, because still a lot of our evaluators aren't really clear. But if you're talking about reflection, you're talking about evidence of learning, you're talking about differentiation along the lines, what you do along the lines of the national board, it might become more clear to them.
So I do have a few questions that I have here. Although, I think some teachers are asking, there's no path for Mandarin teachers right now, even though we're trying to get this started where it's all languages. Do we have any alternative ways to get it through? So I think Yan 老师, Yan, would you mind sharing?
Yeah. Even though you don't have the Chinese certification yet, like when I did ESL. ESL is my endorsement. My licensures in Chinese K-12, and ESL is my endorsement. But I did it in ESL. And I also have known people who did like elementary. If you have elementary certification, you can do your elementary certification. And you can do your special education certification or math, science, whatever, you know, like you can even do like an endorsement, even gifted endorsement. So reading endorsement. So whatever, you know, you have in addition to your Chinese licensure, you can do your national board. Right now it's a 25 certified certification areas. You could start doing that. So any area you could like fund, you have licensure in, you can do that and still bring the skill back to teaching Chinese.
You know that you can always really contact National Board too and asking them some questions. And you can ask them some questions like, is Chinese available, even though you don't know that you know that it isn't, and then have them explain to you why it isn't. And, you know, kind of, again, raise awareness. And if we start sending emails along those lines, maybe we'll
make some noise. Yeah.
Make some noise.
Yes.
Yeah. Making noise is good.
So
Because-
then we have another question that's, I think another question is, we have a teacher that is already certified, National Board certified teacher in early childhood, generalist, because she taught in a Chinese immersion program. However, her certification needs to be renewed in a couple of years. She has since become an admin in a different state. So how could she renew? This might be too specific, but if you know, how could she renew if she does not have her own classroom?
You can borrow a classroom.
You can borrow a classroom, yeah.
Okay.
You can design your activity to go do it in somebody's classroom.
Yep.
Okay.
It should be a lot easier than the first time.
It explains that a little bit too in some of the pages.
Yeah, there's an entire section on the maintenance. Yeah.
Like I'm not teaching in a classroom anymore, and I'm going to go do the maintenance, and I'm going to work with a French teacher in the high school. So the one who came after me, who I gave my job to, he better.
All right, so then we have one more question. It says, is Chinese bilingual license the same as Chinese license?
I would think so. I really do not know. But I think a licensure is a licensure.
Right, if you have a state license, is it a state license?
This is from Ann Lao Shi, so I'm not sure, but if it's a state license,
whatever it is, if it's a state license, you're okay. You know, if it's Chinese, and I wouldn't.
Oh, yes.
She said yes.
Yeah, then.
What's that bilingual? Maybe in English, or English is a new language. Call the national board, email or call the national board, and they can answer those specific questions.
And then meanwhile, just like iPhone X says, make some noise, right?
Yes.
All right. So I have, I just want to share with everybody, I learned a new word from a student. It's an internet slang last week. It's called YYDS. I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's Chinese for YYDS. So I truly am so blessed to have the three of you here. YYDS means forever goddess. So to be in presence of the three of you, I am truly, truly blessed. Yes, so fortunate. 永远的神. Yeah, so I love it. My students like, did you know this? I'm like, no. It's like, 赵老师, 你是我们的 YYDS. I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. So then I Googled and I asked Lina, I hope it's nothing like mean. So truly, Toni, Clarissa, and Yan, forever grateful for you. And, you know, we never thought we could have 3 National Board certified teachers to actually sit down and actually talk with us and answer these questions. It's always been a mystery. What is it to be National Board certified? And I truly, truly appreciate the 3 of you spending time with us tonight. Lina 老师, anything that maybe we need to add on or anything?
I think we are great tonight. And thank you so much, everyone. And just want to remind every Chinese teacher, if you want to get to know any information about our class, please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can find today's webinar on our YouTube maybe tomorrow by Sarah 老师. Sarah is going to edit tonight's recording on it, and it will post on YouTube very soon. And thank you very much again.
Thank you. Well, you know, I think it's okay if you, I'm okay to put my address, my email address down if anyone wants to contact me. I think that's okay too. So I don't know about the
Or,
other.
yeah, I know 3 guests, you have a Twitter account. If you can leave your Twitter handles on in our chat box, I think our teachers, they will follow you on the Twitter.
Or everybody can follow CLASS's Twitter handle. And I know that the 3 of our guests today are already linked to our today's session. So you can follow them and you can talk to them there. But don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our CLASS Frontline program. 然后请老师真的千万别忘了订阅、点赞，然后跟其他对 National Board Certification 有兴趣的老师分享我们今天的热点谈。
Don't forget to do survey.
Yes.
Oh, yes, survey.
Yes.
Now we need more voice.
We need to make noise. We need to be heard. Really. I mean, I love to see more Chinese teachers get the National Board Certification. When I went to meetings and then turn around, it's hardly, I don't see many people. Yeah, so do it, please.
Oh, it'd be wonderful to have a great big celebration at ACFO of all the Chinese teachers that have National Board Certification or all the languages that now have
That'd be great.
National Board Certification. That would be just wonderful.
Then we should party by then.
Definitely will be. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, and we will see you all
Have a nice weekend.
next month, right? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.